April Adams is here. Felipe Castillo is here. Vanessa Kaufman is here. Juan Colmenares. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Gretchen is excused. Michael is here. No, Chris. Chris, yeah, right. Ted is here. Miss Morgan Thomas, no, not here. I'm here. And Elisa is here. Did I miss anyone? All right, I just want to take a quick moment of silence to recognize our departed co-chair, Ms. Carolyn Thompson. Unfortunately, Carolyn passed away on, was it the 14th of February? Was it? It was the day before Valentine's Day, so the 13th of February. So let's just bow our heads real quick and remember Carolyn. All right, thank you, everyone.
Solomon, can I just say a word or two about everything that she meant to us? Because for a long time, and when I say a long time, we are going back to the late 1980s when she and I worked together on this committee. And I can say to you that the number of people that are on this committee today are a testament to Carolyn. And I thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate your words and giving us some historical context or how long you and Ms. Thompson were been a part of this board and part of this family. Thank you. So we do have quorum for attendance. Hopefully everyone got the agenda that was distributed here. And that, may I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved, Ted.
I second, yeah.
Second by April. Okay. Any objections? No? All right. We'll move on to adopting the minutes. The minutes were sent an email and also distributed on the table. If you guys recall, it was a pretty lengthy meeting in February because we did not have a January meeting, so it was a pretty lengthy meeting, and we had a lot of liquor license applications to go over. So the meetings are here, the meeting minutes are here. Can I get can someone move to adopt the minutes?
So moved, Ted.
Ted? Second by Vanessa. Thank you. All right, we can move to our presentations and updates. I'm gonna call David Stoller, Mr. David Stoller from the New York State Liquor Authority. He is the Regional Director of Zone 1. You have the floor, David. You could be right here. Yeah, you need me to present me.
No.
I have the document you did send me.
Okay, I brought copies as well.
Okay, oh, great, yeah. Sure.
Thanks. I'll try to keep it brief. It's not my specialty, but I really appreciate you inviting me to be here today. It means a lot to me, as someone who lives in MCB9. I'm really glad to be here. We have at the SLA, so I'm the Zone 1 Regional Director. Zone 1, we have 3 zones. I'm going to give you a map, but Zone 1 is New York City, Long Island, and Westchester. Zone 2 is upstate, sort of almost to Syracuse, and then Zone 3 is west of there. And we have a threefold mission at the SLA, which is sort of split between regulation and promoting temperance at the same time. So, you know, in our original charter, we are supposed to regulate the manufacture and sale, distribution of alcohol. At the same time, we're supposed to promote temperance, and that's through enforcement. And then recently they've added, a third part of that mission, which is to promote the, industries in New York. New York State is top 5, producer of, beer, wine, spirits, all of them. It's a major industry. It's, part of our, you know, agriculture is a huge part of our tourism industry in New York State, and part of our job is to promote that as well. Licensing wise, we have 60,000 licenses across the state. 30,000 of them are in zone 1. I think there's about 200 or so in CB9. I'm not sure the exact number. But it's not the densest community board or district in the city. Obviously, there's some pretty high density places downtown and in Queens and Brooklyn. Yeah, I would say about 200 in 1031, right, zip code. I think I counted about 125 licenses, which is not so bad. And you know, we partner with the community boards in a pretty significant way. Your opinion is super important to us, particularly now with our new chair, our chair Lily Fan. She started in June of 2023, and she started as a community board member. So she was in CB4 downtown, Chelsea neighborhood. And community boards, you know, our community board input is very, very important to her. The place that you see that most is with the 500-foot law. I don't know if you're too familiar with the 500-foot law. But 500-foot law basically says that if there are 3 or more of the same type of licenses as someone is applying for, then that applicant has to show why there would be a public advantage to having them be given a new license. This is for places that are not grandfathered in, that didn't have a liquor license in that location before. They need to show public convenience. For any license application, the community board, as you know, will give its opinion, and if you disapprove of a license, if in your opinion it's not a good fit for the community, then no matter what, it goes before our full board. And that is where really people's voices are meant to be heard, community's voices meant to be heard. That's usually, I mean, for us, it's usually ends up being a bit of a negotiation between a licensed applicant and the community board. And our sort of perspective is, if you both are angry at us at the end, then we kind of figure it out, just about. Try to split the difference, try to find a compromise solution. The other major factor for us is enforcement. And the key fact here is that we are a complaint-based agency. So we're not just going out and investigating just on, you know, every day. I mean, in zone 1, we have 16 enforcement agents. 16, remember what I said about our licenses, 30,000. So it's not possible to really be going out proactively and, you know, looking for places that are breaking some of the city laws. So we really go by complaints, and that's complaints directly to us, not to 311, who do not tell us, but complaints that come in to me or to our online, we have an online complaint form. That's sort of where the action is to begin a paper trail to start to crack down on bad actors. So that's what our enforcement, sort of what they're up against and how they go about their business is by really focusing on places. I mean, it's really sort of a squeaky wheel kind of thing. The places that get the most complaints are the places that that we are going to go out and see. And, you know, toward that end, you know, there's certain things that we take very seriously, which is violence in particular. If there's something that happens in the neighborhood that's associated with a bar, that's you're gonna see enforcement very quickly, and the other is set to minor. That's something that was one of our major action points. If something like that is happening, it's unacceptable for us. I brought you some handouts with my contact information. I'm really the community liaison in some ways. You can always call me. My cell phone is on there. You can call me, you can write me. If you're having trouble with, you know, a licensee, if there's something going on consistently, you know, you can talk to me about it. If you're worried your complaints are not being heard, you can talk to me about it. I rarely pick up the phone. I'm very shy, but I always call back right away. But I also respond to emails very quickly as well. So that's really our story. There's a lot of information in that packet, but I'm here to answer your questions and to talk about, I see you have a lot of renewals going on. I can talk to you a little bit more about that process if you'd like. Or I can talk to you about the pool hall if you want. Or you know, what your problem locations are. We can talk about that a little bit. It's really up to you and how you'd like us to proceed tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if Solomon has already told you, but basically the community board had voted against Columbia renewing their
Nice.
liquor license.
Saw that in the paper.
I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah.
I go to Columbia. I don't think they're, you know, just handing out alcohol. It's just for catering events.
Right.
But at the same time, there is a potential legal dispute because 116th Street is a public throughway,
Yeah.
right? Meaning the public should be able to walk through there.
Yeah.
So while this board did go ahead and try to approve this, the general board meeting didn't really go that way. So what are some of the solutions, as you mentioned, for the liquor authority to kind of be immediate and in those 6 years?
So here's the ideal situation, right? Before you opine on an applicant or a renewal or anything like that, you know, the goal is that you meet with the licensee. And every applicant should be coming before you, particularly new applicants. They should be appearing before you. They should be talking about it. If they want your voice matters. And if they want you to, you know, suggest that we accept their application, then they should be coming to you and talking to you about what your needs are. In those meetings, you should be asking for whatever stipulations you think are necessary, right, for your community to be the way you want it to be. That could be shorter closing hours, it could be security guards, it could be stipulation that a public walkway remains public. That could be a stipulation that is up to you. I mean, that specific one I have not heard before, but there's no reason that you couldn't come to an agreement with Columbia. I have a feeling Columbia would not necessarily agree to that. If they do not agree to your stipulations, then you can say, well, then we're not gonna give you our blessing. We're gonna vote to deny it, and then you'll go before the full board. You have to come. You don't have to come. You can send in letters. Those count just as well, but obviously if you show up, it means a lot. If you bring people or bring a packet of letters from the community, that means a lot. And that kind of stipulation, like, look, we're in favor of you having alcohol service, but we need that our right of way to be defended. Then that's the kind of stipulation that the board would want to hear about, right? And they can put that in. Now, renewals are a little bit of a different story. And that is where it's kind of, once a licensee becomes a licensee, they're sort of, in a sense, part of our family, right? And we give them due process. So with renewals, the other truth to the situation, and this might save you some time, to be honest with you. There's, in New York City, there's 10,000 renewals every year. There's just no way that we can handle that kind of volume. You know, we have you know, in the under 50 licensed examiners. So you can do the math on how many they would have to process every day just to get through those renewals. Right, not including the other 10,000 applications that are coming in, there's 18,000 temporary permits being asked for. We're, I mean, if you compare our budget to that of cannabis management, for example, you know, our budget is, you know, less than a quarter of their budget, but we have 60,000 licenses. 60,000, they have, how many, right? So we're just, you know, it is the governor's priority that, you know, businesses run. It's a very, and you know, the mayor here is very pro nightlife. So renewals is really not, as frustrating as this is for me, and should be for you, renewals is not where the action is. So a denial of a renewal is not gonna get, it's just basically part of it. It's an important part of it, but it's not gonna get a license. It will start things happening, it will make the situation, make us aware of the situation, but the community board's power does not sit with renewals. And so, and for the Columbia situation, I think that's probably a frustrating thing. I find it very frustrating as well, because to me, renewals is the natural time. You know, you can see how, you know, someone can come to the community board and say they're gonna be fantastic licensee. And then, you know, they're playing music till things change, and people, you know, are sometimes not as honest as they should be about what their plans are. So to me, renewals are the obvious place, but there's just not capacity at the agency to deal with them. There just simply is not. The place to deal with things are complaints. That is, once someone has a license, it's about making complaints. It's about specific complaints. It's about consistent complaints from different people. And so anytime there's a 311 call, there should also be a complaint filed at the SLA, and I should also be emailed for sure, because that's what, you know, starts things happening. How that worked for the public way, I'm just not sure, because now, so because that's a tough situation, and to be honest, Columbia holds a lot of bucks, not with us, but in the city.
Yeah.
You know, that's a tough, you know, and the industry holds a lot of cards in general. I mean, the industry is very well funded, and they are, you know, yeah.
How come SLA isn't well funded? You compared it to the Office of Cannabis Management, right?
Right,
And you're saying that they are well funded.
they are very well funded, yeah. Why are we not well
Yeah,
funded?
why are you not?
I
Well,
think
more people drink alcohol and smoke cannabis.
There's $80 billion of direct sales of alcohol that comes under our purview. 80 billion, right?
Man, we're gonna lie.
A year,
A year.
Yeah.
80 billion.
80 billion, and you know, the tax revenue is something like $60 million a year we add to the state coffers, right? Not including license fees and things like that, which are in millions of dollars. Cannabis has
1 billion.
well, they have 2,000 licenses granted. I shouldn't have started.
No, but I think it's valuable to compare, like,
It's, you know, the SLA has existed since prohibition.
right.
It's gone through big phases where it was better funded or less funded. It really depends on the governor. Now, we have a governor now who is very, she just increased our funding quite a bit for this coming year. She's very open to that, but you need the assembly members and the senators to back that and to make that happen. So that's, you know, it's hard to get paying more for a regulatory agency than they're already paying. And they're saying, well, it's getting by. Now, there are problems there are historical problems at the agency. They have a very big backlog of applications. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it takes about 6 months to get an application now, which is very difficult for business owners who are trying to start their businesses. We're certainly working on that now, and the governor's committed to seeing that our budget has gone up. I just think, you know, it's hard to increase increase the budget of regulatory agency that's been around for a long time and seems to be doing okay. And there's not much of an appetite for regulation these days. That's just, I mean, particularly these days, but even before January, there wasn't much appetite for regulation. And I mean, since the nineties, I would say, and the sort of shift to the center, from the left, sort of, you know, the Clinton era. I think regulation is kind of went out the window at that point, and so you're going to see a lot of budgets just staying the same. So I think that's the long answer to a short question.
So, if you have that kind of backdrop, these businesses are opening and selling under the radar, are they just not open?
Well, we do have a temporary license, which they can get pretty quickly, in a matter of weeks. So that's, and that will last, the governor made it so that would last for 6 months, which is about the time of the backlog. So they should be getting their license by the end of that time. And that's actually a good, the temporary permit system is kind of like what we wish renewals would be, in that you can find out very quickly in that 6-month period, what an actor is really going to, what a license holder is really going to be like, as opposed to what they say. So that's the time to be paying attention and to be complaining if there are problems, like that first period. If a temporary permit gets a lot of complaints.
So an example of this is, we had an establishment come before the board seeking a new license. This was Patrick's on the hill.
Yes.
So that the former Grange location.
Yep.
When we looked into the location itself, there were outstanding violations associated with the location.
Okay.
And the tenant association of the building that is above that particular establishment came before the board to tell us that there were issues with the previous owner,
Great.
and the new owner was also not being very neighborly in terms of, they were making noise late at night doing construction renovation of the new space.
Right.
When they came before the board, we told them that, you know, there were still outstanding violations, there seemed to be an issue with the CFO. So at the time, when they asked us to consider their new liquor license application, we said no.
Yeah.
We found out a couple months later that they applied for a temporary retail permit, and that the establishment has since opened, and they're selling liquor through the temporary retail permit.
Right.
So it seemed, you know, to us, it seemed like they kind of got around us, so that they could sell alcohol. Now, I'm assuming at some point they will be coming up for review, because that temporary retail permit only lasts a certain amount of time. Once that time period, once they get to this threshold, whatever that date is, do they come back before the board, or do they have to go through the state liquor authority?
If they came before the board for their application, you know, so they don't need to come back. Right, they need to come that initial time. Once an application comes in, they have 30 days to notify you. They don't need to come before you, it's up to you, right? But then they don't have to come back. The regular license and the temporary license, those go in together, right? So they come once. Now, did you tell the SLA that you disapproved of this license? That's the key.
I believe.
Right, that's the key act. So that means it will have to go before the full board, right? And that's when you have the power to ask for, you know, you want to see, you know, there were a lot of noise complaints with the previous place. There were a lot of noise complaints during construction. If you tell the full board that, then they're going to talk to them about that, right? Now, will it, you know, part of the mandate is this, and this is where we're sort of yin and yang. Part of the mandate is to grant licenses. That is our job, right? But it's the stipulation where, you know, before that main license, that's sort of where the action is, and that's where, you know, you can ask for a lot, and I would say over ask, right? Because then, you know, it's like any negotiation in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we sat with the owner and explained to them the concerns that we had about the particular location, about the former owner of the establishment, about the landlord itself. And, so we definitely voiced our concerns. And we thought that they seemed open to it. They seemed open to making certain concessions. But I guess after that initial meeting, we just haven't heard anything back.
Have you heard from the neighbors about what's happening there since they opened?
Yeah, so there have been some complaints to the district office about just noise complaints. They have loud music there
Mhm.
that goes late into the night at times. The last complaint that I remember had to do around New Year's.
Yeah.
Where I guess they were, ordinarily, they're only open till about midnight. But in this particular case, they went till 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 is
Yeah.
so if they did that, that's a problem.
So the district office was made aware of it. I know 311 complaints were put in. I don't know if
Yeah,
SLA complaints.
I would say get the neighbors to complain to us now before that, and I'll look it up tomorrow, and whatever spots you would like me to look up, I will look up tomorrow and get back to you. But I'll look it up tomorrow and see when their temporary is coming up. But I would suggest getting complaints into the system before they're up for their regular license. And also just to make sure that we got your disapproval.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll check on that.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask you about, when are the full board meetings actually? Like,
They're every 3 weeks.
every 2 weeks?
Yeah,
So, and that is the key. You see, if you are a bad neighbor, you don't deserve any privileges, right?
I'm sorry.
If you're a bad neighbor.
Yeah.
You don't deserve any of the privileges that everybody should get in a right, in a neighborhood. So that is what gets me aggravated with this institution, that they think that they are above every single one of us. That doesn't cut.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I will vote no every time.
Yeah.
Okay, as often as I can. And if they get angry, so what? What are you gonna do? The second thing is, Canada is stopping, buying products from America. So how is that gonna affect New York?
It's not good, for sure. I mean, we haven't really looked that much into it. I think everyone's sort of in a state of disbelief and,
Before you get into that.
Yeah.
Because I really wanna hear this. This Columbia was a renewal, or was that, an application to
It
begin?
was a renewal.
yeah. I
Oh,
think
man.
we're new. I know, that is frustrating. I agree.
Well, I'll still write a letter.
Yeah.
Complain.
You should,
And, I have your email, so I'm
Yeah.
good. Go ahead.
absolutely should. You should write an email and complain about it. I mean,
Breaking your word every time you tell the community board you're gonna do something.
right,
You say you're gonna give money, you don't give us anything.
Right.
You took a huge amount of land for nothing.
I mean, and this poor guy, you remember his, who had the warehouses here? You remember his big sign? I mean, they took it with eminent domain. I mean, and it was.
So go ahead. Talk
Yeah, I
about
think
that.
I remember that. Was that, you talking about the buildings on Broadway?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was, I was pretty much, my name is Mrs. Brown. I'm in the community as well. I was part of the fight of helping him sustain and try to maintain from being taken over. And they just, it was horrifying. So what's happening with that space now?
well, it's the basis of their construction site now. They have their construction offices there now. And nothing is happening with that. I'm assuming they're gonna build something there. But I haven't seen the full capital plan.
Did they take that under eminent domain, or was that just a grab?
No, it was under eminent domain.
Are there
Yeah.
sanctions if something is not done with the space, property, or land within a certain amount of time?
I don't know. This is definitely way out of my
Yeah, we should talk to
purview,
them.
but I will say that they are using the space. They're just not building on it yet.
Yeah,
So-
well, I won't trouble you with it if it's out of your wheelhouse, but using the space, they could have rented a room in the storage space for all that matter. The reality is that, I don't know, maybe I'll follow up, but we need to have sanctions for these types of laws being used to usurp the rights of private owners. It's horrifying. But anyway, that was just a sidebar. I just really thought, hadn't heard about that.
They took that man's land,
Yeah.
and that's what, yeah.
Yeah, there should be
Um,
sanctions, because if it was your land and I was supposed to build a railroad through there and I don't build the railroad and build an office, there should be
Right.
sanctions.
Yeah, I don't know. The truth about the Canada situation is, it's unclear to me. I know that these tariffs are gonna hit us all very hard. I don't know what effect they're gonna have. Certainly, our craft industry is gonna take a hit, particularly as we get closer to Canada. But we haven't studied the issue, at least at the SLA, so I don't really know, ultimately I mean, it's so crazy, I just don't know.
Yeah, here the whiskey industry and
Yeah,
in the south is really going.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna affect them in the south, it will affect us as well, for sure.
I had one more, I guess, scenario I wanted to present to you, and you're probably familiar with the billiards
Yeah.
place on Broadway. So, they've gone through multiple owners. They've come before the board, to try to get a liquor license. We've denied them. They've not been good neighbors. They've consistently have had noise complaints against them. Complaints about vibrations. A lot of times they will call 311. They will contact the precinct will come out. They'll lower their music. And then after 20 or 30 minutes, they just put it back up.
Yeah.
Music goes consistently over, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, very late into the night. We've heard of sale of alcohol there, but not legal sale. It's not something that the district office or us would enforce anyway. It's not something that the NYPD enforces. So who does the enforcement on something like that at this point?
So that location, they may have a temp. Because they're relatively new, aren't they? I thought that they were relatively new.
They've changed ownership a couple of, and
Right,
we're not sure why the ownership. has changed,
yeah,
But it has changed.
yeah. First of all, I don't believe that a pool hall can have a liquor license. I believe they can only serve beer. I may be incorrect, and it may be about how they position it. I will follow up with you on it tomorrow, for sure, but I don't believe that they can have a liquor license. If they're serving liquor and they don't have a license at all, that's an NYPD issue. We can only enforce things on licensed establishments, which is funny. It's not all, it's not alcohol wherever alcohol is. It's just licensed establishments that we can do, and that includes a temporary license, so I'm not sure which they have. I do feel like they're going before the board. I've seen their name, and I feel like they're going before the board maybe next week.
Yeah, can we confirm that, because we can
Yeah,
get stuff together.
I have to look, let me look into it tomorrow, and I'll let you know, but that's the time to make those complaints known. I just know that I've seen their name on agendas lately. And I don't know if it was from like the last couple of them, or if it's, but I do feel like it's sort of imminent. So let me look into that and I'll let you know about that. But yeah, we can only enforce against licensed establishments. So and that is, NYPD should be enforcing if they're selling alcohol without a license that's, blatantly illegal.
So we need specific information to provide to the precincts.
Yeah, I mean,
If it's happening.
I would call 911, if it's happening, and generally, I mean, for us, I can't say exactly for the police, but for us, the more specific the complaint, time, date, when it's happening, like a general complaint is not gonna see much action, but a very specific complaint certainly will. And, I know that it's this way for the police, it's certainly this way for us, but I cannot tell you enough how much the squeaky wheel gets the grease. for sure. The more you complain, the more likely something will happen, you know, and the boards that complain the most are the boards that will always give them enforcement.
How does that work with like, the places that do corkage fees or like BYOB? What if they're like an establishment like that?
I am not 100% sure that they cannot, I don't believe once their application is in, that they can, that there is any BYOB at that point. There are special licenses for bottle clubs where people bring their own bottles. Once you have your license, I believe people can bring their own bottles and then have a corkage fee, but you have to have the license to do that. Can't just let it be in your establishment.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Stoller from the SLA?
Can you
Online,
Can you tell me what the SMA stands for again?
State Liquor Authority, New York State Liquor Authority.
Okay, thank you. And your office is, sir? Where is it located?
So we're on 125th Street and 7th Avenue.
Okay. It's on the corner of 125th and 7th?
Yeah, the Adam Clayton Powell.
Adam
Federal-
Clayton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Question for Mr. Stoller? Okay, we'll have to move on. Thank you for coming.
Great, thank you so much.
Just reach out, use my email for sure, and we can touch base about these two.
You regret like saying that, right? Thank you.
Yeah, no, I believe me, it's my job.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a
And you-
great night.
Can you put the email in the chat?
I can, yes, I can put it in.
Email community, SLA.
And there's also that,
You know, we- And I am in the neighborhood, so if ever need me to come back, I'm totally welcome.
Perfect, okay.
Whenever we have new members, you should come and talk, you know, cause it clears everybody.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, yeah, he's very good. I'm glad he's in.
To the point.
So I'm gonna move on to the 26th precinct. If you're on, Officer Cardenas, is anyone on from 26? Okay, so they're not on right now. The 30th precinct, I think I saw Captain Rose. I don't know if Officer Stewart is on.
Calvin, you can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, but you're coming in choppy.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you, but it's still choppy.
All right, give me a minute. Let's see if I can switch to my phone. Just give me a second.
Okay, no problem. I'll move on to, Officer Wilborn from, PSA.
Can you get me a picture of these people?
They don't have their video on, set. They're just-
Okay.
Greetings. Hi, everyone. It's Officer Wilborn, PSA 6 Community Affairs. First of all, I want to say I'm totally gonna miss Miss Carolyn. A true gem. I had no idea that she passed away. I did speak to her on the 6th, so I'm really saddened that this happened. We would talk all the time and always have some chats, so I'm really gonna miss her. I would like to express my condolences from myself and Officer Etienne. I do have the 28-day period numbers. Today was a really, really crazy day in the 26 precinct. As far as night is concerned, we did have a lot of shots fired today, and it's not even warm yet. So I'll give you guys the numbers, and I don't have much information, but I do have the locations of where the shots fired were taking place today. So for the 28-day period from February 3rd up until March 2nd, we took one robbery, which was DV related in Manhattanville houses. We had 5 assaults. Of the 5 assaults, 4 of them happened in Manhattanville, 1 happened in Grant, and all of them were DV related. We had two grand larcenies, one in Grant, one in Manhattanville. With those two cases, there was suspicious transactions on each complainant's debit card. The cards were used without permission, and in the first case, the person lost their wallet, and the bank was contacted in regards to this, to both the grand larcenies. So today we had shots fired near 430 West 125 Street, near Morningside. We had shots fired at 55 LaSalle Street today, and just not too long ago, 1315 Amsterdam. Shots fired. I don't have any more details, but by the next meeting, I will have details. They're still trying to investigate and figure out what's going on over there. Are there any questions?
Well, I'm sorry you've had such a busy day today.
Yes, I did.
Hope you keep safe.
Thank you.
there.
I appreciate it.
Said 55 LaSalle, 1350 Amsterdam, and what was the?
So we had 55 LaSalle Street. We had 1315 Amsterdam Avenue, and then we had near 430 West 125 Street, closer to Morningside. That was actually the 26. I'll confer with Officer Cardenas tomorrow to speak about this and figure out what kind of outreach we could do in this area to decrease the amount of shootings that we're having.
Well, it seems like they're all in the same, like, they're all in the same
Yeah,
strip.
yeah, all in the same vicinity. This bothers me because I remember last year we had some shooting where people on a bus, thank God nobody was hurt. So it's a very busy area, you know? So very concerned. There's schools in that area. So that's the last thing we need is any shots fired jobs.
Any questions for Officer Wilburn? Anyone online? Questions for Officer Wilburn? Okay, thank you so much, Officer.
You're
Stay
most
safe.
welcome. Thank
Hey.
you. I appreciate you guys.
Solomon, it's Captain Rose. You can hear me?
We hear you great now, Captain.
Oh,
Rose. Go
all
ahead.
right. So yeah, sorry about that. I had to switch from the laptop to the phone. Yeah. So 30th precinct, like we said last month, we started off the year great. We were down in crime across the board. No major crime, no major trends or concerns that we're seeing. Unless anybody has any specific questions, really just a big thank you for all your support, and we continue moving in the right direction. I'll stay on the line and take any questions if anybody has anything. And then I just wanted to throw in there, I heard the conversation earlier about the SLA with the billiards. Just recently we moved back to taking enforcement action there. We were dealing with the Mayor's Office of Nightlife for the last year or so. We did the cure operation there. They did their inspection with the sale of the alcohol. And now some of that authority is coming back under the thumbprint of the NYPD. So we'll get back to doing that work. It was a productive conversation to listen to what the gentleman from the SLA had to say. And we'll definitely get back over there and take whatever proper enforcement action that we can.
Thank you, Captain Rose. I know last month you indicated to us that there had been an uptick in, I guess, accessories of vehicles.
Yeah, so
I'm
I can actually say with confidence that we were deployed properly to that. We just had our ComStat meeting this morning. We're actually down. We see a reduction in those type of crimes from the last time we met. I was able to make very specific zones and timeframes for my personnel to be out there. And, knock on wood, I hope I don't jinx myself. It seems to be working. So we're going to keep with that, and hopefully that continues in the same direction.
Great. Anyone have any, Juan has a question for you, Captain.
Yeah, the 149th and Convent Avenue clear out, but now what they're doing is they're parking on 149. So 450 West 149th Street is the entrance to that building where I live.
Yes.
And when the other night I sent Solomon a video of 5 cars in a row, and then 3-4 cars parked on the other side in front of the church, right in front of the fire hydrant. There have been many times when I've had cars that I parked on that sign next to the church, and I've gotten tickets. I've gotten tickets on Convent Avenue in 149. These people don't get any tickets. It's the most frustrating thing to tell you the same thing every month. What is that about?
So I understand your frustration. I appreciate that you understand that we took care of 149th Street. We take one problem at a time, one step at a time. 149th Street, we solved that problem. Obviously, we did see the displacement onto your side street, and we'll get to it. I spoke to Solomon that night that you texted him. He brought it to my attention. We responded almost immediately. Unfortunately, it's not going to be an overnight fix. Human behavior is not changed in a ticket with one ticket. So it's going to take repetitive behavior. We're going to have to get there, and we'll prioritize it to the best of our ability. And I think you'll see it improve over time.
Thank you. The homeowners on Convent Avenue, they text me and they ask me, what are you gonna do with your building? Why are you talking to your landlord? My landlord is a slumlord. You know what I mean? He's making money from all the people out there. And everybody just passes the ball to each other. I ask somebody something, oh, Department of Buildings, oh, HPD, oh, call the 30th precinct. Nothing happens. That corner is a sore spot for the whole community. But thank you. I appreciate the fact that you actually respond to me and you actually do something about it. So I appreciate that.
Of course, I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yes, Vanessa.
It's an incident that happened, Tuesday around 10:30 a.m. Walter and I were on our way to the bus station. And there was a homeless person that was definitely having some sort of an episode. Not only not from 149th Street, St. Nicholas, to 145th Street, going west. They were knocking down the corner garbage cans. They were trying to open car doors. And we saw this guy, we knew that there was something mentally wrong with him, by not only his appearance, but by, of course, what he was doing. And as we got to 147th Street, we decided to cross on the northbound side just to stay out of his way. There was a police car that we thought had seen what we were seeing. And they made the U-turn, so we kind of like said, okay, thank you, thumbs up. But they made the U-turn, saw the guy, and kept on going southbound. They never engaged him. They never stopped him. He proceeded down 145th Street, like I said, going west to Dunkin' Donuts, where he was, still out of sorts there. So my concern is like twofold. I get it that maybe they're going cold, silent with no lights or whatever. But there seems to be an uptick in the amount of homeless people who are having mental episodes that aren't being addressed. It's like, we're just kind of like, we see them and don't see them if we're in our squad car. And like I said, I'm putting in there, maybe they're running to another incident or something, but it just seems to be an uptick.
Yeah, I know. I heard everything except the location. I couldn't make out if you said 125th Street or 145th Street.
It started, we saw him first at 149th Street in St.
Okay.
Nick. The police car that made the U-turn was at 147th Street in St. Nicholas. U-turn from north to southbound. The person with the issue continued knocking down garbage cans to 145th Street. He finally wound up in the Dunkin' Donuts.
Got it.
Which west.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I appreciate what you said. Obviously, we don't always know the full picture of what's going on. They could have been going to another priority incident. They
Yeah.
might not have actually seen what you saw, all those things. So I'm
Yeah.
not, well, I appreciate your understanding of that. It's very busy throughout the course of the day. However, I wouldn't expect my cops to just drive right past anything that they saw like that. Do you know if there was a 911 call made? Did you make a 911 call? Do you know if anybody had called 911 for that individual?
Know that a 911 call was made. I know that,
Right.
I did not make a 911 call.
Okay.
We,
So what I would say, so then, I don't mean to cut you off. I just try to, give you the best service that we can here. We're a data-driven agency. We respond to incidences, and we deploy our personnel based on data in. So anytime I have a chance to urge people to call 911, we got to remove the hesitation that you're going to flood the 911 system, and just understand that you're giving us the best information we can to deploy our resources accordingly. Additionally, the work with the people that are suffering from mental illness is very difficult. Sometimes it doesn't rise to the level of criminality, and sometimes it's not necessarily a police matter. Now, not to say play to push from one agency to another, we would definitely respond. But in order for the police to respond, we would need that 911 call. So, I wouldn't ask you to engage that individual, but I would ask to generate a 911 call in that incident. Give the best description of the person that you can, so that way, if the police are driving down that block, regardless of if they have another job or something like that, they will see that individual and engage them. Because like I said, I don't want to see my cops just drive past something that's going on in the community like that.
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and thank you.
Yes. Can I ask a question if it's okay?
Of course, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mrs. Brown. Captain Rose, I first want to thank you. I am one of the homeowners from 142nd Street. We engaged you all because we had an intruder, or I guess you said a trespasser, in our private backyard. We did send you the picture and video, and you responded very quickly. We're grateful. We're so grateful for it. In fact, within a couple of days, you sent us an email letting us know that you've identified the person that was back there kind of trying doors and looking around, and I was wondering, we wanted to know, did you guys capture the guy? Did you deal with it? Did it get any further? Because we did get an email from you on the 22nd indicating that you've identified him. Does
Yeah.
that mean that he was captured a couple of days later, or what's the status of that, if you can recall?
So we're still actively pursuing him. We identified him. We have what we call an iCard in layman's terms. It's just basically like dropping a pin on somebody, so that if they do come in contact with the police, they know that they're wanted for that. And also, our warrants division is actively pursuing to arrest him. So you got the best in the business looking for him, and he will be in our custody as soon as we can.
Okay.
But just to reiterate, the value in that whole scenario there is that those images that were provided to us and the cooperation from the people on your block is really what we need to make. If we don't know who the person is, then we're kind of just shooting in the dark, right? With the photo and the video, and we're able to identify him based on a previous arrest. Now we know exactly who we're looking for. We have addresses, phone numbers, ways to kind of track that person down. It also gives me the ammunition to give to my police officers, that they know who they're looking for in the area. So if they're driving up and down the block, like I said, we know we're getting these trespassing type burglary incidents, then we can put the police officers where they need to be. And now they have that photograph. So now they know who they're looking for. They know that this person is already wanted, and it gives us the ability to stop that person, rather than just having to approach random people on the street and assume that they're committing burglaries based on, our professional experience or training, which we get into a little bit of gray area there with stop and frisk type scenarios and level 3 stops. But if we know that that person's wanted, obviously we have probable cause to stop them.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your responsiveness. And because, I mean, literally, one of your detectives came out, one of our neighbors. We work very tightly on our block, and we're very synced together. We don't trouble our precincts unless we are really concerned. And
Yeah.
although this may seem low level, but one thing
No,
leads to the next, and
it's
we
really
just
not.
can't. Yeah. And
What
so
was the business into that?
The incident was, well, from my perspective, the professional's perspective, I guess, Captain Rose can let you know, but
Yeah,
just as homeowner, you want to go, Captain?
yeah, if you don't mind, I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, go,
because
please.
I'm sure it's probably, you know, it's not unique to just your area. I mean, burglaries are not really something that we struggle with in the 30th precinct, but you know, like you said, it is a big deal, right? Because it's your home, and you don't want somebody intruding in your home. So just
That's
to give
right.
a brief synopsis of what that incident is that Ms. Brown is referring to, is somebody had taken an opportunity to climb over a fence into some courtyard area or backyard of somebody's home, and was attempting to get into the actual residence through a window. They got frustrated, they couldn't get in the window, and they ultimately end up leaving. But trespass, nonetheless, in our world is you know, basically an unsuccessful burglary. It's one step away. Had that window been open, they're in your apartment. So we definitely don't take it lightly. I hope that that's not the way that it was perceived. And you know, the best information that we can get nowadays is a photograph and a video. So the best thing that you did was give us that information, and now we have the best information that we can to try and make an apprehension.
Yes,
And
and
this was in February, right?
yeah, this was in February,
Yes.
a couple of weeks ago, and most of us there are the homeowners on the block. There are very few apartments in that area. That those backyards are accessing everyone's home and all of their goods, So it's like, it's a big deal, but we're pretty organized together on that block. But I wanted to ask you this as well. We are pretty proactive, and we've after speaking with you, getting the information to you, Captain, we also, someone on the block decided to put the flyers up that we put together ourselves, just saying this person was an trespasser, please beware. And we just put it on our block just to kind of let our neighbors know, and to let the person, if he's passing by, to know that, hey, we know you, we see you, and you're not, it's not going to just happen like,
Yeah.
so we did that, and we just wanted to make sure we let you know. And my final question is, if we call 911, because I was just about to get on the highway down near 150, whatever street my husband turns on.
Yeah.
If we call 911 and we're right on that highway or just about to get on, is that your jurisdiction, or is it just a different, you guys don't deal with once you're on the highway?
No, we do.
Oh,
We covered up. We cover everything from the river, to Convent Avenue, or you know, Edgecombe, depending on what street you're at within the
okay.
precinct. But so I guess to answer your question properly, there is a highway district that covers their responsibility is just the highways, but the precinct, I have the highways and the roads. I don't know if that makes it more complicated.
No, it's fine. The reason why we
Yeah,
asked is because there was some emergency on the highway we
sure.
called, and it
Yeah.
seemed like 911 went to Jersey. We said it was like 911, but it was like in Jersey. And I didn't
That
understand what was going
is
on, but I
that
didn't.
that is probably just because of your location, and sometimes the technology is not. We rely very heavily on technology, and it's probably putting your location, because you're so close to New Jersey over there on the water. It probably is pinging, like your geolocation is probably showing that you're in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So
As
when you
long
call
as
911, it basically connects you to the closest 911 call center. So in New York, right, there's a center in the Bronx and then in Brooklyn. So if you're in that spot, that I've never heard that before from somebody, but I'm only making the assumption that you were actually probably geographically closest to the 911 call center in New Jersey.
okay, but they would be calling you
If
if
you
if
told them, yeah, if
yeah.
you gave them your address, it would still get routed to us.
Okay. Just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure I didn't.
I think that's probably the easiest answer. Yep.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for responding to us on West 142nd Street between
Of
Common and
course. And
Amsterdam. Timely manner.
as soon as we make an apprehension on that individual, I'll be sure to let you know.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Captain Rose.
All
All
right,
right.
thank you.
I don't think do we have Transit Division 3 on? I don't believe they're on. So we'll move to New York City DOT, Lyle Blackwood.
Evening, Solomon. There. Evening, everyone. Well, Buck from DOT. I also wanted to send my condolences to Carolyn. Um, I worked with her for, boy, almost 10 years now, since as long as I've been at DOT. And I'm very sad to hear that she passed. Um, the one thing I will say is that no matter what projects we put before her in the committee, she was always tough but fair with us, and that's all we've ever asked for. So may she rest in peace. Um,
Thank
this
you, Laura.
yeah, this month, I don't have any updates for CB9. I'm actually currently out of the office. I'm serving on a jury. I've been selected to serve on the jury for a little bit, so I haven't been in the office. But my colleagues have been filling in for me, and I've been trying to answer emails periodically when I have the chance. So if there's anything that you need assistance on immediately, you can still call our office. Like I said, my colleagues are still there and are willing to help. And I'm trying to jump in when I can here and there when I have a moment. But if anybody has any questions or concerns for me, yeah, I'm willing to hear them out.
Okay, I have a question. I'm here. I'm hot tonight because I this is the meeting I was waiting for all week. So if I could go forward, Mr. Blackwood, can you tell me the name of the person that you refer us to while you're out on jury duty? The name and their contact number or email address?
You can reach out to the Manhattan Deputy Borough Commissioner. Her name is Jennifer Santa Inez. Her email address is first initial J, S like Sam, T like Tom, A for Apple, I for Igloo, N for Nancy, ES like Sam at dot.nyc.gov. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, it's J dot or no dot. I guess you put it in
No
the
dot.
chat. Okay,
Yeah, JSTAINES
right.
dot.nyc.gov. You can also CC me, like I said, I'm able to check emails, when I can and trying to respond to them here and there. Like I said, yeah, in my absence, you can reach out to her for any questions or concerns you have that are, DOT related matters. No problem.
Okay, so if you can put your email in the chat as well. The reason why
Sure.
I'm here tonight regarding DOT, I had asked this question at the regular meeting, and they advised that I come to the uniforms meeting tonight. The question is, can you point me to like in somewhere there's a policy or a law where the MTA has the legal authority to issue traffic violations and collect such fines, just the legal authority. I just want to know where I can find that information in the promulgate law or something. I just need to know because what we're dealing with is, we live in a community where we're in these churches and, Sundays and funerals, these are days where cars had, just for legacy had been double parking only during the times of service or funeral services. And we have most during the times of service or funeral services. We have during the times of service. Hello.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah. So it's becoming an issue because a lot of our folks are, older. They're being dropped off by their family members in these cars or the adder rides or the accessor rides, and it takes them more than 5 minutes to get their things out, wheelchairs, these things that they need, and these buses are taking pictures of the cars license plate up and down, and it's beyond harassing, and it's wild. It's really wild. I understand for purposes of maybe bicycles and things, but where's the moratorium on no tickets on Sundays during church hours that has been the norm in New York City, particularly in Manhattan here? We are getting crushed here. It's difficult. We move our cars when there's an emergency. We get those announcements in church, but it's a nightmare. So that's one of my main reasons for asking. But the truth is that I just want to know there has to be legal authority for the MTA to issue tickets because right now our understanding is that the police department has the authority and I think highway and patrol has the authority, but the legal authority we can't find it in writing. That's what we're looking for.
Oh, excuse me. I think that in some capacities, the MTA does have enforcement capabilities. And if, well, what the MCI, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but from what I understand, they're rolling out a program citywide for bus routes, certain bus routes, their automated camera enforcement program, the ACE program. And basically it installs cameras either on buses or select buses on certain routes, or cameras that are installed along bus routes on the outside, essentially to try to curb double parking and other illegal parking along bus routes, essentially to make sure that buses run more efficiently. Um, I don't know what the parameters that MC works with off the top of my head. But I know that they've been making the rounds as far as community outreach, speaking with the churches. I know I've attended a meeting or two at some of the churches in the area to have a deeper conversation and further conversation about this. And I can put you in contact with representative from the MTA who can probably better answer those questions. And I can put his information in the chat too. His name is Alberto Roldan. He essentially is part of the MTA government community relations. So I'm sure if you reach out to him, I can give you more information and more details as to the program and what the MTA's intentions are, and which routes are impacted and that sort of thing. I'm gonna put that in the chat for you too.
Thanks. About the enforcement agency as well, but before, sorry, Mrs. Brown, we have to continue, but we wanted to answer the church question as well. So is that a DOT question or an NYPD question?
Well, I mean, all I will say is from DOT's perspective, we don't condone double parking at any time, whether it's on Sundays or any time. We consider double parking to be legal parking, just from a traffic and safety standpoint. My assumption is that the NCA feels the same way, and for them, it's impacting, their routes and their travel times. But in this instance, as I mentioned before, DOT is an enforcement agency. We don't ticket or tow. So I would refer any enforcement questions or concerns to either the local precinct or to the MTA, in this instance, especially since it's along their routes.
Right. Well, MTA is the one issuing and requesting collection of these fines. So that's why
Yeah.
I was told to come to this meeting to speak to you guys. And I'm just looking for the law that affords MTA the authority to issue such tickets.
Mrs.
Okay.
Brown, it's Captain Rose. Sorry, I just in 2 seconds. I know that they're trying to move on. I just want to point you in the right direction. New York City Transit Authority rules of conduct and fines. If you look that up, there's a section on there basically talking about obstruction of operations or traffic. I'm pretty sure, and again, don't take it as the final authority on this, but I'm pretty sure that the MTA enforcement component, that's what they're using in terms of being able to issue those fines.
Yeah, that's the first response on Google.
Yeah, I also included Mr. Roldan's email, Mrs. Brown, in the chat.
Here's in the
So-
chat.
So if you want to reach out to him, you can ask him about the particular question you have.
And Captain Rose, did you have any comment on the church component as well, or no?
Yeah, so we historically in the NYPD do not make it a practice to issue double parking summonses to people that are going to church on Sundays. It's called I always forget the term. Anyways, it's basically like a reduced enforcement or a relaxed enforcement of the double parking regulations on Sundays. I understand Lyle's point of view from the DOT. They're not going to condone double parking ever. There's safety issues and things like that. But on behalf of them, NYPD, we generally do a relaxed enforcement around churches for double parking. I tend to think a little more outside the box than most. Juan's concerned with the mosque on 149th Street, the churches with the double parking. I would consider, now that we're in 2025 and things are different, that the zoning and the signage in front of these religious institutions should be changed such that they have designated parking similar to a taxi stand or a bus stop during those designated hours, similar to street cleaning. But that's a larger conversation and maybe something that could be proposed by the community, the collective voice of the community to alleviate this problem altogether.
Yes,
Thank-
Mark.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Last point on this is that mosque is illegal. There is a certificate of occupancy in the building that does not say anything about public spaces in the basement. That is the big problem we have. Nobody in the building was asked if we would allow a mosque in that basement. The landlord makes a lot of money from that rent. That is the big difference. Being good neighbors, that's the key point.
Thank you, Norm. All right, we need to move on. Thank you, Captain Rose, again for coming on, and thank you, Lyle, for coming on as well. And hope your jury duty keeps going smoothly.
You and me both.
I hope it's not asbestos, Chase. You'll be there for a minute.
Yeah.
Trust me, when the case is over, I'll be more than willing to talk about it, believe me.
Good luck on jury duty. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move to action items. There are 6 renewal liquor license applications that came before us during the month of February and early March. The 3 of them are within the 2-6, 3 of them are within the 30th precinct. I received an email earlier today from Officer Cardenas regarding the establishments in the 2-6. So the first one, number 2, Rome Cargio LLC, aka Tartina, 1034 Amsterdam Avenue, New York, 10025. This is between 110th and 111th Street. This is a renewal liquor license for liquor, wine, beer, and cider. The 26th precinct had no issues with this particular establishment, and there were no open or existing violations for this particular establishment. The next establishment.
Can I ask you to go back for just 1 minute?
Sure, go ahead.
Is this on Amsterdam where they have a situation where they move out onto the street?
To my knowledge, no. The establishment Tartina that we're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, to my knowledge, no, they do not have, you're asking if they have a sidewalk cafe?
yes.
No, they do not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 3, the Baylander Cafe LLC. This is at the West Harlem Piers Park Ferry Terminal, step number 1. If you're familiar with it, it's the ship that's docked right at West Harlem.
Oh, it is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there before, but I didn't know it's technically.
Yeah, so it's I think it's only open from March to November.
Yeah.
But yeah, so their renewal is up. Officer Cardenas wrote me back saying that they don't have any issues with the establishment. And then the last one in the 26th precinct was number 4, String and Bass LLC, aka the Expat. This is at 64 Tiemann Place, or also known as 195 Claremont Avenue. And they are also renewing their license application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider. Officer Cardenas stated in her email that they did not have any issues with this establishment. So I'm gonna move on to the 30th precinct. The first one in the 30th precinct is 3660 Broadway Restaurant LLC, aka Bono Trattoria. This is between 151st Street and 152nd Street. Within the 30th precinct, they serve wine, beer, and cider. Again, this is a renewal. Officer Stumer did send an email to me saying that the 30th precinct had no issues with this particular establishment, and there were no open or existing violations, with this establishment. The next one on the 30th precinct is the Burger Shake and Company at 1625 Amsterdam Avenue. This is between 140th and 141st Street. They currently serve wine, beer, and cider. Officer Stumer indicated that there was no issues with this establishment, and they had no open or existing violations. Number 6, Four Brothers Food Market and Deli, 1712 Amsterdam Avenue. This is between 144th and 145th Street, within the 30th precinct. They currently are attempting to renew for beer and cider. Now, I did hear back from Officer Stumer about this particular location, and he said that there have been issues at this location of the establishment selling alcohol and beer to patrons that were inebriated.
Oh.
So my understanding is that they, if they see that a patron is intoxicated, that they're not supposed to sell alcohol to them. Unfortunately, the practice of this particular establishment is to continue to sell the alcohol. And what happens is it then just causes disturbances within that particular area.
Yeah.
So the 30th precinct is, it's their recommendation not to review this particular application. So I don't know if any one of us here lives near Four Brothers Food Market and Deli. I did not see any open or existing violations from them, at least on the SLA front of things. But I think it should weigh heavily on us in terms of the intel that the 30th precinct is giving us. Yes, April.
What, so it's a deli, right? So like, why do they have to come to us anyway? Or do all like bodegas have to come before us? No, right?
No, but I think they have like a sit down
Yeah,
space.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay, okay.
So my understanding is they do serve food and alcohol there.
I see.
So those are the 6 items. I'd like to move to vote on the first one. Any issues with the first? Yes, Ted. Were you just making the motion, Ted?
Yes,
Okay. Anyone seconding it? Second, okay. Anyone objecting or abstaining to number 1? Okay, that will pass. We're just voting on passing it to the executive board meeting next week. Number 2, for Tartina, 1034 Amsterdam Avenue.
Make the motion to accept.
Motion to
Second.
accept by Felipe, seconded by April. Any objections or abstentions? None heard. That'll pass to next month's exec. Number 3, the Baylander Cafe LLC
I
at
make
the
a
West
motion,
Harlem Piers,
I make a motion to accept. Second.
seconded by Michael. Any objections or abstentions to the Baylander? None
Ted.
heard.
James.
Yes, Ted. Thank you. That'll pass to exec. Number 4 is String and Bass, AKA the Expat, at 64 Teeman Place. Can I get a motion? Motion made by Vanessa, seconded by April. Any abstentions or objections to number 4, the Expat? That will move forward to exec. Number 5, the Burger Shake and Company, 1625 Amsterdam Avenue.
I make the motion to accept. I love that one.
Motion to accept by April Adams, seconded by Felipe Castillo. Any objections or abstentions to number 5, the Burger Shake Company Incorporated? None heard. It will pass to the exec board. Number 6, Four Brothers Food Market and Deli, 1712 Amsterdam Avenue, between West 144th and 145th Street.
I make a motion to object to this removal?
Motion to object by April Adams,
Second.
seconded by Juan. Anyone want to object to that or abstain to that? So all members present,
I'll abstain, but just maybe invite them to the council meeting.
okay, so Michael is abstaining. Felipe is abstaining. And you would like them to come either.
I will abstain because I don't know enough about it.
Okay. So we have Juan in favor of objecting, April in favor of objecting, I am in favor of objecting. How do you feel, Vanessa?
I think that we should have.
Okay, so you will abstain and you want them to come. Elisa, how do you feel? Abstain as well, okay. So it does not pass. We will invite them to come to either exec or general board.
And so that means it accepts, right? Or
No,
it's
so
just that.
it's tabled until we invite them to come talk.
And Solomon, is your experience that when people come, do they really own up to it and change their ways, or does it matter?
I've seen it both ways.
It's neither.
Yes,
So, or is that, instance where maybe if you live in the area, you should just pop in and see whatever.
No, no, I'll go
we
over
can take
there.
a look, yeah. I know where it is.
I've been there,
I'll
I've
go
been there.
I got a beer
I'm
in
sure
line, I'll go over
everything.
Just to make sure.
I've been there, it doesn't seem terrible, but. You know, people are selling to intoxicated patrons, that's literally one of three things, they're not supposed to do, right? No underage, no intoxicated.
Yeah, you're supposed to, as a bartender, you're
Yeah,
not,
those are,
they
yeah,
will take your
Yeah.
license if
right,
you,
that's, yeah.
if you do that. yeah.
Yep. Okay, all right, so we finished the action items. There were no new liquor license applications submitted for February, just to let you know. In terms of old business and items to monitor, these are things I'm just keeping kind of a track of. There's that St. Nicholas Task Force along 145th Street, that corridor. I know that Victor just asked to kind of keep an eye on things there, making sure that you know, they step up with the enforcement, especially of the double parking and being able to get through the corridor itself.
Can I make a point about that?
Sure.
So we passed in September a daylighting resolution. There is an effort to daylight our intersections, and this is a perfect example of an intersection that could be daylighted to increase safety and increase efficiency of the intersection.
That's noted. Maybe we could start a resolution to specifically point that out.
Yeah, if need be, but I mean, we passed a daylighting
Right.
resolution in general,
Mhm.
so that means to every intersection, we want daylight.
Right.
So seems a little redundant to like ask
True.
again
Mhm.
for this particular intersection.
And I agree, you know, it might have been the weekend, the general resolution. Yeah, that was passed in September.
Right, it was passed like 33-1, so it's like, it's got a lot of support.
Okay, I've noted that down. I'll talk to Victor about seeing what the next steps he wants to take. We talked a bit, number 2 is the noise issues with billiards and bar at 3428 Broadway. I think we talked about it with Mr. Stoller, we talked about it with Captain Rose, so there's movement there. I will reach out to the tenant association that lives over it to let them know that there is an SLA complaint form on the website that they should be filling out, as well as emailing Mr. Stoller when they do put in a complaint.
It's a shame that they have such issues there, because it's not like people want an empty storefront there. I mean, Cafe One and Burgers and Shake never have issues, so what's the problem?
Yeah. Number 3, there was an elevator meeting in late January regarding the number 1 subway station. I I was able to attend, I know Victor attended, several other people from the board attended. There were many organizations represented. Pretty much what came out of it is that there is no commitment yet, either from Columbia or from MTA, or from, our elected officials to make the financial commitment to get a elevator put in. And it's really two sets of elevators that need to be put in, because it's an elevator that's needed from the street level to the mezzanine, and then from the mezzanine to the platforms, to the two platforms, northbound and
Could
southbound.
it be like one that's more direct, like just one all the way up to the platform and add something in between?
So my understanding, just kind of sitting in and listening to the planning or to this particular discussion, is that they have to take it in a two-phased approach. The first phase is street to mezzanine, and then mezzanine, the second phase would be mezzanine to platforms. Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's late, but like is there any like room for like the MTA to like allow like a building on Broadway to serve as a connection to the 125th station?
I know there's a building on I think it's on the south, no, wait, sorry, on the westbound side of
Right.
Broadway, that's
Recently,
close,
yeah.
right? But I don't think there's existing plans to
Right, because like,
serve
you,
as an entry point.
right, because you could change the zoning of like one of the first, one-story buildings. And then build an elevator in the building, and then like that will finance the rent of, like, from apartments will finance the construction of the elevator. I know it's
I don't recall it being an option,
Okay,
but
it's a little out there, sorry.
yeah, I get it, no, you gotta think outside the box. I do know that I also attended a meeting, about the MTA capital plan, from 2025 to 2029, about subway accessibility in general. So something I was advocating for is to focus on funding for that project in particular. And I know a lot of elected officials, they want to see it happen. I think there are many organizations that want to see it happen. It's really a financial funding at this point. And it seems like there's just a lot of uncertainty in terms of where is the state and the MTA going to get the funding to do this particular project. Because it's not as straightforward as a project like the 137th Street project, where they put it to. At least that's my understanding. Okay, we did have, you remember last month, we did have the MTA come here about the 116th Street bus kind of corridor project that they're going to be going after. So we haven't heard anything new from them. I think they did share a PowerPoint presentation that day, and I think they sent it to us. I'll try to disseminate that to the committee so you guys can all take a look at that. Number 5, Gretchen told us about some new EV chargers possibly coming to the city. I haven't seen anything new on that, but it was one of those things she wants us to kind of keep an eye on. So if you read something about it or you get word of it, just let the district office know. We did provide the community feedback based on the proposed DOT neighborhood loading zones. I know it was received by DOT. We haven't heard anything officially back yet from DOT. And then number 7 is just a reminder that they're still doing the viaduct construction up at 153rd Street and Riverside Drive. One of the things that Victor is really pushing for is making sure that the lane markings are put there, even while the construction is taking place, because there was a really bad accident that took place there back in January. Does anyone have anything that they wanted to add to any of those old items or things we're monitoring?
I can't wait till they're done with that either.
That's been a long project, yes.
Guys, I don't know, you'd let me know if this is the time to ask, but Some of you may know, but there's a big meeting that's supposed to be happening this Saturday at 10:30 a.m. at 421 West 145th Street in Hamilton Heights regarding 1727 Amsterdam, which is in our district and certainly in the 30th precinct. We're having issues with the developer who purportedly is not giving us the whole truth and nothing but the truth as to what they're planning to do with that site. But we did discover that there is a plan for a possible 60% units to go up for the severely mentally ill, drug addicted persons. We're fighting, we're doing what we need to do, but I was wondering if Captain Rose or someone from his department can attend the meeting in part at least to lend their voice to how that would impact the precinct. And just if that kind of thing is proposed to be happening there, that what impact that would have in terms of, the scope of the neighborhood and what's could potentially happen. And I'm also letting you guys know so that not only you can attend, the folks that are here at this meeting, but you can tell someone because we need help. We're requesting a moratorium on all of these social services up in the area. So we need folks to come out to also lend their voice, just regular people as well, to say we have to have a moratorium. We have so many social services in the area. We're overrun at this point, but we would like the police to show up too if they can. So if Captain Rose can speak to that, if that's possible.
Yeah, we'll definitely be represented at the meeting on Saturday. We were informed about it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Thank
And
you.
Mrs. Brown, from the community board standpoint, there are two committees that are already kind of spearheading the effort. Our health committee as well as our housing committee. Both of them kind of have the lead on this and have spread the word within the community board as well as throughout their committees as well as their stakeholders.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we had that resident.
Yeah, and we passed resolutions as a community board specifically regarding that particular site.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Good job. Solomon, I was gonna tell you that it's right across the street from an elementary school. I think they should be notified that there's a meeting coming up, and they should show up. Maybe a principal or even a class of first graders, and so they can see who are they affecting with these changes.
Mhm. I will ask you to reach out to them. Thank you. Did you have something, April, you wanted to say? I thought I saw it. Anyone else regarding 1727 action? That's about something else. All right, I'm gonna move over to new business and some reminders. You have something you wanna add?
No. Oh, about the crosswalk?
The crosswalk, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess we can put that on new business or.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we passed that reso, last month about the, access gate, the access gate to be open on Mondays and Tuesdays at Hamilton Grange.
Mhm.
Felipe came up with a, great suggestion of also asking DOT to put a crosswalk there from Hamilton Grange to Hamilton Terrace.
Yeah, the sidewalks is Hamilton there.
Yes, so we'll be reaching out to you about that, Lyle. And we can
So
get-
from Hamilton Grange to Hamilton Terrace.
Right, crossing west 141st Street.
And
But you don't have it written up yet.
No,
No.
we can write something, yeah.
Okay.
and can we ask, we've been asking for speed bumps between 140, I think between Amsterdam and Convent, 142. Lady of Our Lord's Church is there. There's also a Eritrean church downstairs at the bottom of that church as well. I know the school is around the corner on 43, but we've been asking for speed bumps on the block of 142 between Convent and Amsterdam, at least 2.
Mrs. Brown, there's also something new in New York City, that, is called a slow zone. That, New York City now has the authority to put, speed limits like below, 15 miles per hour, if I'm not mistaken, and so you can turn a street into like, with truffle pane into like a sort of a shared space. And that, signals that the speeds have to be slower.
Is that signage based or is
That's signage and paint and, there's other tools, there's like boulders, and bollards. And I think they're cheaper and more effective than a speed bump.
Is that something DOT handles? Because I've never
Yeah.
heard of that. Okay. Well, we would like to move forward. We'd probably have to see what that looks like, but this block is not very wide, not very big. But we get the Speedy Gonzalez folks down there, trucks and all. It's weird. So we need to do something soon because we had a couple of.
We're on that block too, so.
No. The premise is if you narrow the speed, if you narrow the width of the street, all cars will go slower.
Okay.
So Lyle, should we follow up with Youtha to make a formal request for an assessment in that particular area?
Yeah, you could if you'd like, or you can also go onto the DOT website, and under the contact DOT tab, you can follow the drop down menus and you can create a case for a DOT to conduct a study on, whatever particular location, and that case will be assigned to the appropriate division within DOT for their review and follow-up. So either way it works, or you can reach out to me and I can pass the information along, whichever works for you. But there are various ways if you need to.
Thanks again,
Thank you.
guys.
And Solomon, just as a heads up, regarding the 116th Street presentation, that's a DOT and MTA presentation, or joint collaborative. I'll see if I can get the link for that presentation to send to you and you. It should be posted onto the DOT website at this point for anybody that wants to check out the presentation. But I'll see if I can get the link and send it to you guys directly so you can pass it along if you want to.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, also part of new business, something that Victor asked to kind of keep an eye out on was the RVJ Auto Body Shop that's on 134th Street between Broadway and Amsterdam Avenue, so just north of us here. They seem to have a lot of cars parked on the sidewalk, double parked on the street. I know that, Victor brought it up to the NYPD. It's something they're gonna look into, talk to the owner about. But I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that and, just something to keep an eye out on. I spoke about the MTA capital plan, 2025 to 2029. The subway accessibility project. One of the things that came out of that meeting that I thought was kind of pertinent for us is there is a feedback form that they have on their site where you can make the case on what subway stations should get some attention when it comes to subway accessibility. I think a lot of the agencies now are very data driven. So unless our community gives the direct input and feedback into this system, the subway stations that are in our district aren't gonna get the attention unless we kind of be squeaky wheels. Yes, Mike?
Yeah, I guess maybe this is a critique, and I guess next time it's brought up with MTA, but I mean, yes, I get it, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Sorry, I just had an exam, I'm just like, brain fog. But the issue, I think it's missing the issue, right? The main part about it being more accessible are people who really need it, right? Like those who have disabilities, pregnant women.
Yeah.
People with young families. So well, it's good and all that, like, hey, we can put in complaints. The main area, wherever it should be catering towards those people where they live.
Well, the goal is to have them all to be accessible, right?
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
but you wanna
obviously,
prioritize.
Yeah, but yeah.
But to prioritize, like, okay, like maybe there's like 1,000 people with disabilities at a particular station, but the one that we're really pushing for is like over here and there's only.
They have that data,
Two.
the city has that data, so I don't know why they couldn't be pulled from that.
Right.
And I know our area in particular is very dense, A lot of people live in this area, a lot of more marginalized people probably live in this area, meaning seniors, people with disabilities, so, you know, I put in the feedback for stations in that I thought could use it, especially 125th Street, because it is very elevated. There's multiple staircases that someone with, whether it's a physical challenge or some sort of disability would have to, it's difficult. It's difficult, to traverse. I mean, even for someone that's relatively healthy like me, it's not easy. Yes, Mark?
And if you were like injured, a knee or something, and you can walk up. I know that when I go to Aldi, I can go into the 231st, station, but there is no other one.
Right.
On all the way to what, Midtown? That you can get out of in the one, so
Oh, yeah.
it's insane. It's not even about,
Yes, I'm sorry,
Who-
96.
it's not even about who needs it, it's about the lack of infrastructure in the city, you know? I mean, a little rain and we're flooded, that is insane. The richest country in the planet, the most expensive city in the world, you know?
Well, here's hoping we get to keep congestion pricing.
I mean, I
We'll see.
did let the MTA know that very often the escalators at 125th Street are not working.
No,
Yeah,
I think if you go there
and
now,
you just gotta walk
the-
it.
the escalators that are supposed to go up are not working. So it's unfortunate. It needs to be addressed. I think that's okay. All right, anything else to add to new business? I got the access gate, the DOT crosswalk from Hamilton Grange to Hamilton Terrace, the speed bumps at 140, or either speed bumps or a slow
Yeah,
zone
never, I put that in
around
the chat.
142nd Street and Convent. Was there anything else that I'm missing? No, okay, a motion to adjourn would be nice.
Yeah.
I think a motion to adjourn.
Okay, April Adams, motion to adjourn. Can I-
Unanimous consent.
All right, I'm adjourning the meeting at 8:23. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope everyone gets home safe.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Crosswalk there is that people use that street like a.
Have a good night, everyone. Get home safe.
Good night, thank you.
So what was it for the crosswalk?
No, but put a crosswalk, put a boulder, like.
Yeah,
you
okay,
know,
yeah.
Like
That's
put
like-
bollards, like narrow the roadway. I mean, you can't be squished by people that are choosing to use the roadway.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't want to give people a false sense of security if they don't know the same.
No, but you put a boulder on each side,
Yeah.
you know, you narrow the roadway, the cars will slow down.